customers go.
So without much ado, we'll get started.
We start with making it better for the customers. And so this year, there's a lot of focus on building network capacity. There's going to be a lot of focus on building out fiber, because you would recognize that fiber is at the heart of delivering consistent quality for our data customers. So for us, it's about the strategic investments we make this year to improve the whole customer experience. If we can get those things right, then the numbers will follow. We really don't run the business just for the numbers. We run the business for the customers, and then the shareholders' benefits just kind of falls out from that. Having said that, as I repeatedly say, we don't do foolish things. So we would never make a decision knowing that it's going to be, a non-commercial or an unprofitable decision.
Okay.
So investment into the future is where we're at. And the board doesn't really put pressure on us. I mean, we work together. So the board and the management team do work in hand. So when we go through tough times, we all go through the tough times.
Interconnect cost relates to the amount of traffic. So as our revenue goes up, meaning our minutes of use go up, the calls that go off net attract interconnect cost. So the increase in interconnect cost is a function of our increase in revenue that's off net. The commission space, or the dealer discount space, the increase there is mostly driven, well, it's two things. One is, as we increase our revenue, so do the dealers make more money. That's the cost. And as dealers diversify into M-Pesa attracts a higher commission. So as our revenues move, as they did towards non-voice revenues, with M-Pesa being half of that, so do our commissions get higher, because the dealers earn more commission on M-Pesa transactions than they would on airtime transactions.
One is we continue to drive the cost of using M-Pesa down. So, the last few months we've reduced the tariffs at the low band, and we've seen a big uplift in the number of transactions in those lower bands. I'm not sure we can disclose it.
Too early.
But at the bottom end, there's been a big uplift. At the top end, there's been no difference. So making it more affordable, making it more convenient. So we're now up to nearly 40,000 agents, which means you don't have to walk too far to get to an M-Pesa agent. So it's accessibility and price. We continue, of course, to drive quite a lot of increase opportunities to use M-Pesa. So, in addition to school fees and stuff like that, you can now make smaller purchases, as little as 10 shillings actually.
The number of bill payments customers and it's just really increasing.
We've only got just under 5 million data handsets right now, and we need to increase that. That's the first thing. The second thing is we have to have local relevant content, because if there's nothing to access, then you're not going to access it, and if you don't have a tool for accessing it, then you can't do that.
So what kind of local content are you looking at?
We're working a lot with local content providers. Music is something which is consumed a lot here, but there's a lot of application developers, young application developers coming out of places like Strathmore, from environments like iHub, where we're beginning to engage with these guys now to make it relevant for our customers and to commercialize it. I mean, these application developers are pretty good. The challenge that many people have is the commercialization of it, and I think this is where we can add some value. Well, we have never been short of exciting the market. One of the reasons why we've been as successful as we have, because we understand the market very well, and so when it comes out, we'll excite you. Let me say, we're not driving a price war here. We're trying to make sure we structure things to meet customer needs. And customers, if you ask, they'll always say, I need something cheaper. Right? but it isn't necessarily cheaper. For example, when we launched the per minute billing on data, if you'd asked customers, they wouldn't have said that was what they wanted. But we launched it, and for customers who want to manage their spend well and want to know exactly how much they're spending, they spend 2 shillings a minute and they browse at 1 megabit per second. So they wouldn't have asked for that, but the team, understanding the needs of the customers, have come up with those solutions. So they'll be interesting solutions. We're currently testing them with customers. Unlimited works for a lot of people, but for some people it works better than others. We talked about this 1% taking 70% of the capacity. So what we have to do now is we have to make sure we get the right size bundles for those customers, which are at affordable prices, rather than just opening the tap and letting it let it run ad infinitum.
It's like a can of Coke. You buy a small can of Coke, it costs you more per litre than if you buy a large can of Coke. What you don't want to do is have the Coke constantly pouring and using all of your supplies. So you pay less for more, but you consume it, then you buy another bottle or can or whatever it suits your needs.
Yeah, data often goes down because the more people you bring onto the network, the more lower output customers you bring, and therefore your overall average will come down. It doesn't mean that if Mark was buying 100 units, you're buying any less. It's just that you now bring Victoria and she's buying maybe 50, and therefore your average will come down. And that's the kind of common pattern.
We also dropped prices massively this year. 70%. So of course ARPU will decline with that size.
The drop in ARPU what informed that maybe you scrapping the unlimited?
No. Unlimited was scrapped just because it was not profitable. There's 2 things. It was not profitable. Sorry, John. It was not profitable, and the second thing is that it was degrading the quality of service for our other customers, because it's a limited capacity, and therefore if one person can abuse it, then the rest of the customer base is going to suffer. And we were seeing it. If you follow me on Twitter, so you were seeing customers beginning to complain about it, and when we examined it, we realized that was what was happening. No, we've done our reshuffle. That's now bedded in. I've got my team. Everybody is handpicked. And as you can see, that team has delivered a good set of results, so there's no reason why we should change that. What we do now is we develop talent internally to make sure that people are prepared to take over from me and from John and from Peter Arena and from Sylvia and from all those other people when it's time for them to move on to do something else, when it's time for us all to move on to do something else. But the primary goal here is to develop local talent, first from within the company, because we now believe that we have the talent, and we have a pool of what we call the high potential, or the next generation leaders. They have already been identified. We're working on a development plan. We send them around the world to learn the stuff, and the next generation leaders will come from here. At this stage, we can't talk about specifics and individuals because it wouldn't be right for us to do that. But we do have a very structured leadership development plan for the top 81 people in the company.